Hello and welcome to my historical recipes. In the 8th century, the Abbasid Caliph, poet and passionate cook, Al-Mahdi wrote about a dish called Kishkiyya. Having eaten it intoxicated, one will be all renewed and the hangover will go away. His cookbook, unfortunately, is lost, but fortunately for us, 2 centuries later, a cookbook author from Baghdad, Sayyar al-Warraq, wrote down the recipe for Kishkiyya in his book of dishes. Now, what do we need for this fantastic hangover cure from the medieval Middle East? It has lamb, because it's basically a lamb stew. It has chickpeas, seasonal green vegetables, it says. I have some spinach here and some kale. This is what I found in our garden today. I have an onion. Now I have to start explaining here something. Well, the recipe is called Kishkiyya because it calls for kishk or kashk, depending on where it's from. The problem is that what exactly is kishk or kashk changes according to both time and place. In Iran, where it's called kashk, it's basically boiled down whey. In the Eastern Mediterranean, it actually includes also bulgur or another form of cereal that is then fermented in either yogurt or whey or milk. And then in some parts also it's just practically dried yogurt, and some people suggested that it used to be, even in some regions, only fermented cereals. Now, what did he mean? There's quite a debate actually about this, but Charles Perry, who is quite an expert on the subject, suggested that it is actually dried yogurt. So what I do have here is closest to the Iranian kashk, but you can also substitute it simply with a very dense Greek yogurt. I have verjuice. You will know that from many of my other recipe videos. This is the juice of unripe grapes. I have olive oil, well, salt, some galangal, 3 crushed cloves, and then it says some fresh herbs. It's high summer, everything is a little dry. What I found in the garden was some parsley, some oregano, and some thyme. And then I have cassia. Cassia is very similar to cinnamon. In fact, if you buy cinnamon nowadays, there is quite a chance that it's actually cassia if you look close into what is written, because it has a very similar taste and it's a little cheaper. Then the original recipe asks for 1 more ingredient with a spikenard. Now, spikenard was really something I absolutely could not get. It is interesting though, because it might actually be one of the ingredients that is supposed to really take down your hangover. Because we know that spikenard, which is from the same family as valerian, were both used in ancient and medieval times against migraine. And thus, probably, maybe the connection, hangover, headache, migraine, the same thing might work. Now, only that we now know that spikenard or valerian have no known effect with a hangover. So, let's start with chopping the onion. First of all, we need only half an onion. We start with half an onion and chop that into pieces. We put that, put this one away for the moment, into a big saucepan, together with the meat. By the way, that is 1 pound of lamb meat. The original recipe, wow, for one very rare case, gives actually more or less accurate quantities. Now I have reduced the original quantities to 1/3 because we are not that many people. So this is 1 pound and not 3 pounds. 1 pound of meat. Now, I add some salt. And I add the herbs. If you have some fresh cilantro, that will also be gorgeous. Unfortunately, ours is has already blossomed and is pretty dry. Some oregano, the thyme, and the galangal. Okay. Yes. I add a good dash of olive oil. Then I cover the whole thing with water and put it to a boil. Now, when the meat has almost boiled, we chop the green leaves, the seasonal leafy vegetables. You can pretty much take whatever you like. And also the chickpeas. Obviously, I have some pre-cooked chickpeas. Obviously, if you use dried chickpeas, you have to soak them beforehand and boil them also from the beginning. Now I add these two things to the pot. Stir and leave it to boil some more. Now, while the kishkiyya keeps on boiling, I add some verjuice or verjus or ab-ghooreh to the kashk. And as spices, I add, yeah, my cat is meowing. I think it wants exactly this kashk here. Or it's complaining about the heat. Or both. Now, yeah, we have kashk with verjuice, 3 crushed cloves, some cassia, and what I completely forgot to mention earlier, also some cumin. Exactly. This we keep until a little later when we add it to the soup, and meanwhile we chop the last half of the onion that goes in at the very end. Another 15 to 20 minutes later, this meat is almost done, and I now add the kashk with verjuice. Stir. Put up the temperature a little. And give it another boil. Okay, add the last onion and now put it on very low heat and continue to simmer. Okay, that's it. Kishkiyya, at least according to my interpretation, of a 10th century dish from Baghdad that is supposed to be a hangover cure. Now all I have to do is to get drunk to figure out if it works. Bon appetit and cheers!